For nearly 4 decades, Evelyn had been the invisible backbone of her family. A 65-year-old woman with gentle hands but a spine forged in silent suffering, she lived in a modest apartment in Santa Clara, California, with her husband Nathan, her son Caleb, his wife Aria, and their young son Leo. From the outside, they looked like a happy, multi-generational family. But behind closed doors, Evelyn was little more than a live-in maid, overlooked, underappreciated, and used. Nathan, once charming and ambitious, had long grown cold and dismissive. He spent his days dancing with the neighbor Bianca, claiming it was just a hobby. Caleb, busy with his corporate job, saw his mother as nothing but a free babysitter. Aria treated her with icy indifference, constantly barking orders and criticizing her meals. And Leo, the child Evelyn had raised since birth, now looked at her with disdain, as if she were some bothersome burden. Evelyn had spent her life giving everything for them, her time, her health, her love. But what had she gotten in return? Nothing. And she didn't even realize how deeply buried she was, until the day the elevator broke down. It was a chilly Thursday afternoon when Evelyn left the apartment to pick up Leo from school. She didn't mind the walk. Even with her sore knee, it gave her a few moments of quiet. But just as she stepped into the elevator of her building, something went terribly wrong. A sharp metallic groan echoed through the shaft, followed by a violent jolt that knocked her to the ground. Then stillness. The lights flickered. The elevator had stopped, stuck somewhere between the 8th and 9th floor. Evelyn's heart thundered as she sat up, pain shooting through her leg. Beside her, a young woman no older than 20 was already in tears, frantically pressing the emergency button. A voice crackled through the speaker, assuring them that help was on the way. But the fear didn't ease. Not for Evelyn. She reached for her phone with trembling hands and called Nathan. He picked up, sounding irritated, not concerned. "What now?" he snapped. Evelyn's voice caught in her throat. I'm stuck. The elevator," she whispered. "I'm busy," he barked. "Bianca and I are in the middle of rehearsal. Call someone else." And then he hung up. The rejection sliced through her. She tried again, this time dialing Caleb. "Caleb," she gasped, "I'm stuck in the elevator. I was on my way to pick up Leo. Can you?" "You're unbelievable," he interrupted, disgust lacing his words. "Can't even manage one thing without screwing it up." The call ended before she could say more. Evelyn stared at her phone, breathless. The silence in the elevator now felt suffocating. She was hurt. She was scared. But worse than that, she was alone. The young woman beside her was also on the phone. "Please don't hang up," she begged. "If you do, we're done." But her boyfriend did hang up. In one swift move, the girl blocked his number and wiped her eyes. "I'm done," she muttered. Evelyn stared at her, stunned. That girl had the strength to walk away after one bad call. Why hadn't she? She'd endured Nathan's cruelty for years. She'd been dismissed, ignored, blamed. Every call she made, every time she asked for help, it always ended the same: rejection. If this elevator had crashed, if she had died, not one of them would have cared. But she survived. When the firefighters finally pulled them out an hour later, Evelyn didn't ride the elevator again. She limped up 10 flights of stairs, her knee screaming with every step. By the time she opened the apartment door, she was shaking. But the moment she stepped in, Caleb's voice exploded. "Do you even realize how much you screwed up today?" Evelyn didn't speak. She was too stunned to cry, too exhausted to scream. Aria added, "Dinner's late." "Leo's starving. Hurry up." And Evelyn did. She walked into the kitchen on a swollen knee. As Nathan lounged on the couch, eyes glued to the TV, Evelyn realized something. No one cared, and something inside her finally snapped. Evelyn shuffled to the stove, every step like walking on nails. The pain from her knee had turned into a dull, constant throb. As she stirred the half-empty pot with trembling hands, Nathan called from the living room, "Is dinner ready yet?" "I've got to head to Bianca's. She texted me. Her ankle's bothering her again." The audacity made Evelyn's blood boil. A flash of heat surged through her chest, chasing away the numbness. She turned off the stove, ripped off the apron, and dropped it onto the counter. "I didn't cook," she said clearly. Nathan blinked. "You what?" "I didn't cook," she repeated, voice calm but sharp as ice. "I'm not your maid, Nathan. If you want food, cook it yourself." Without missing a beat, Nathan scoffed, adjusted his shirt, and muttered, "Forget it. Bianca's waiting." As he strolled toward the door with his phone in hand, Caleb emerged from his room. "Mom," he snapped, "what the hell are you doing?" Evelyn met his glare head-on. "Whoever's hungry can cook. I'm done." Lucia jerked her head up from the couch, stunned. "What kind of tantrum is this? Don't you care that Leo's starving?" Evelyn let out a bitter laugh. "And none of you thought to feed him? All you ever do is sit around barking orders." Lucia crossed her arms. "We don't know how to cook." "Then learn," Evelyn said, walking out of the kitchen. Caleb's voice rose. "This is just a meal, Mom. You're really trying to blackmail us over dinner?" Lucia grabbed Leo's hand and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Come on, honey, we'll eat out. Somewhere you actually like." Leo's face lit up. As he passed Evelyn, he smirked and whispered, "I'm glad you didn't cook." "Your food's gross." The door slammed shut. The silence afterward was deafening. Evelyn stood motionless in the kitchen, the insult echoing in her mind. She leaned against the wall, pulled up her pants slightly, and looked at her knee. The bruising had spread. The swelling looked worse. She hobbled to the couch, dropped onto the cushions, and cried, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, exhausted sobs. She wrapped her leg with a bandage from the first aid kit, her fingers trembling. Not one of them had noticed her injury. Hours passed. Then the front door slammed again. Nathan had returned. Evelyn straightened up slightly, unsure what to expect. He rummaged through drawers, finally asking, "Where's the first aid kit?" Her heart skipped. Had he noticed? Lucia replied, "Under the TV stand." Caleb added, "Why? Are you hurt?" Nathan's reply hit like a hammer. "No, not me. It's for Bianca. She twisted her ankle." The pain that surged through Evelyn wasn't physical. "She lives alone. I'm bringing her some soup tomorrow. Make a big batch." And just like that, Evelyn's last ember of hope turned to ash. Evelyn sat there numb. Her knee throbbed beneath the bandage, but the ache in her chest drowned it out. She stared at the closed door, still hearing Nathan's voice in her head. "Make soup for Bianca." As if Evelyn were nothing more than a kitchen appliance, a background presence. She thought of that young woman from the elevator. One cold phone call, and she'd cut her boyfriend off without hesitation. But Evelyn? She'd endured years, decades of worse, of slaps cloaked in silence, of doors slammed in her emotional face, of love unreciprocated. It wasn't just about the soup. It wasn't about dinner. It was about every ignored cry, every night she fell asleep crying into her pillow, every moment of dignity she surrendered in the name of family. She remembered begging Nathan to help pick up Leo once, Just once, when her arthritis had flared so badly she couldn't even lift her leg without pain, he refused. "I have a dance lesson with Bianca," he had said with a grin. She remembered asking Caleb instead. He didn't even blink. "Mom, Dad's done enough. You're just being selfish." Selfish. That word had haunted her for years. She'd pushed through agony for this family. Never once did anyone offer help. She was the default: cook, cleaner, babysitter, scapegoat. Nathan was untouchable. Caleb idolized him. Arya didn't even look her in the eye anymore. And Leo, he used to call her Grammy with love. Now he acted like she was in his way. Evelyn glanced down at her hands, wrinkled, calloused, and worn. Hands that had once held Caleb through his childhood fevers, made him lunch every day, wiped his tears. He didn't remember any of that. She had no career, no savings, no property in her name. All her life she gave. She gave until there was nothing left of her. And still, it wasn't enough. The next morning, when Nathan stormed through the apartment looking for soup to bring Bianca, Evelyn was sitting quietly at the dining table, sipping tea. There was no pot on the stove. "What the hell?" Nathan barked. "Where's the soup?" "I didn't make it," she replied, not even glancing up. "You're being ridiculous. You've made it every time I've asked." Evelyn slowly stood, her expression unreadable. "I'm not your servant, Nathan. She's not my responsibility." Caleb stormed in, his tone sharp. "Mom, seriously? You want to start something over soup? Grow up." Arya chimed in, voice dripping with sarcasm. "You've never worked a day in your life. What exactly are you so tired from?" Evelyn met their stares. For the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. "I'm tired of giving," she said quietly. "I'm tired of being invisible." A stillness fell over the room. Evelyn walked to her bedroom, pulled out a dusty suitcase, and opened it. As she folded her few clothes and packed her essentials, a calm strength took hold of her. She had nothing, and somehow that meant she had nothing left to lose. When Evelyn zipped up her suitcase, the sound was sharp, final, like the last note in a long, painful symphony. Caleb leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, lips curled into a smirk. "Where are you even going?" he asked, voice thick with condescension. "You've got no money, no job. You really think you can survive out there?" Evelyn paused, then calmly reached for a small envelope hidden in her drawer, the bank book she'd quietly updated over the years. Tucked away with a modest stash she had saved from birthday money, small gifts from relatives, even the change she'd hoarded from grocery errands. "I'll be fine," she said. He laughed, but she didn't flinch. As she wheeled her suitcase toward the door, Caleb scoffed one last time. "This is just a phase. You'll be back by next week." But Evelyn didn't respond. She left the apartment and didn't look back. She called the only person who had always truly seen her, Tracy, her childhood friend. When Tracy answered, her voice lit up. "I was hoping you'd call." That afternoon, Evelyn moved into Tracy's old cottage in a small coastal town 2 hours away. The air smelled of salt and pine, and for the first time in years, her lungs felt open, free. The cottage was humble, with creaky floors and overgrown flower beds, but it was hers now. Evelyn spent the next few days cleaning, repairing, and settling in. Her hands, used to scrubbing floors for others, now worked for herself. She painted the kitchen a soft lavender, set up a reading corner by the window, and began to reclaim the life she never had. Then came Linda. She lived in the house next door, a fiery woman with cropped gray hair and a laugh that could shake the trees. On their third meeting, as Evelyn was cooking outside, Linda walked up, peeked into the pot, and said, "Smells better than anything I've cooked in years. Mind if I join you?" From that moment on, they became inseparable. Linda had her own battle scars, years of betrayal, sacrifice, and silence. She too had walked away from a family who drained her dry. Together, the two women spent their evenings eating, laughing, and walking under the stars like two teenage rebels with silver hair. One afternoon, as Evelyn whipped up a colorful stir-fry, Linda watched with crossed arms and a spark in her eye. "You know," she said, "people would pay to see this." Evelyn blinked. "See what?" "This. Your cooking, the way you move, the way you explain things. Let's start a food channel. I'll film, you cook." Evelyn chuckled. "Linda, we're not exactly YouTube material." Linda winked. "That's where you're wrong. We're exactly what the world needs. Two women who've survived hell and learned to season their food in their lives." And so it began, with one camera, one recipe, and a heart full of fire. At first, Evelyn didn't know what she was doing. She had never used a ring light before, had no idea how to set up a shot, and thought hashtags were some sort of spice. But Linda was relentless, editing videos late into the night, uploading daily, and responding to every comment with an energy that would shame someone half her age. Evelyn focused on what she knew: cooking with love. She prepared simple dishes from memory: hearty stews, her special garlic noodles, Sunday roast chicken, and told stories while she cooked. People weren't just watching for the recipes, they were staying for her. Her calm voice, her warm expressions, the twinkle in her eye when she added a secret ingredient. They called her Grandma Grace online. Thousands of viewers who had never met her, yet felt like they'd known her forever. Then came the first sponsorship. A small cookware brand offered to pay them for a video. When Evelyn held that first envelope of earnings in her hand, her fingers trembled. She had done it. For the first time in her 65 years, she had earned money on her own terms. "See?" Linda grinned. "Told you we were gold." Their subscriber count exploded. They cooked meals from different regions, tried fan-submitted recipes, and even launched a tea and talk series where they sipped herbal blends and shared stories of motherhood, aging, loss, and healing. What surprised Evelyn most was how many women reached out. "Your story gave me the strength to finally leave. My kids treat me like a burden too. Watching you helped me find my voice again. I thought I was too old to start over. You proved me wrong." Each message was a spark, a torch passed from one woman to another. Evelyn wasn't just surviving anymore. She was inspiring. She bought her first real winter coat. She and Linda booked a trip to New Mexico and filmed themselves trying local tamales and dancing under paper lanterns. Evelyn laughed until she cried. She started waking up excited again. She tended a small garden outside their cottage, growing tomatoes, basil, and lavender. She sang while she swept. She bought herself earrings. She even dyed a streak of her hair a bold silver blue. "For flair," she told Linda with a wink. For the first time in her life, Evelyn felt seen, not for what she could do for others, but for who she truly was. She no longer lived in the shadow of a man's needs or the expectations of an ungrateful family. She didn't miss the old apartment, the cold glares, the shouted orders. She had built a new life, brick by brick, bite by bite. And in doing so, she had rediscovered the most important recipe of all, her worth. Evelyn had just finished filming a new video, her famous cinnamon apple tart, when there was a knock at the door. She dried her hands, opened it, and stood face to face with the ghost of her past. Caleb. He looked like a shadow of the proud man he once pretended to be. Unshaven, slumped, eyes sunken. The kind of tired that came not just from sleepless nights, but from being finally forced to face yourself. "Mom," he choked, falling to his knees. "Please, I don't know what else to do. Everything's falling apart." She said nothing. "Lucia's leaving. She's threatening divorce. Leo was hospitalized last week. Vivian gave him too much junk food and he needed emergency surgery." Evelyn's brows barely moved. "Dad, he's in a wheelchair now. Fell during one of their fights. He refuses to speak to anyone. Vivian's trying to leave, but he won't let her. The house is chaos, Mom. Please, us come home. We need you." Evelyn let out a breath, slow and deliberate. She stared at Caleb, her son, the boy she once carried on her back to the hospital when he was sick. The same boy who had once looked at her and seen nothing but a burden. Now he was the one begging. She stepped outside, the crisp air brushing against her cheeks. Linda appeared behind her, arms crossed, silent but solid like a mountain at her back. Caleb's voice broke again. "Just for Leo. He misses you." Evelyn shook her head. "No, Caleb. He misses having someone to clean up your mess." Caleb's eyes widened. "Please, I lost my job. The mortgage is overdue. I'm drowning." "You made your bed," she said coldly, "and now it's time you learn to lie in it." Desperation turned to audacity. "Fine," he spat. "Then at least give me some money. Help us out a little. You owe me that much." Linda's lips curled into a smirk. Evelyn stepped forward until she was inches from his face. "I owe you nothing. I gave you life. I gave you everything I had. And when I had nothing left, you still asked for more." He looked away. "I nearly died in that elevator. Do you remember what you said to me that day?" she asked, voice low. He swallowed hard. "You said I was useless." Caleb flinched. Evelyn straightened. "I've built something for myself now. A life, a purpose. I am no longer your safety net." He opened his mouth again, but she had already stepped back inside and closed the door. That night, as she sipped mint tea with Linda and read comments from fans around the world, Evelyn smiled. Not the polite, tired smile she used to wear, but a wide, radiant grin of freedom, hard-earned. The past had knocked on her door, and she had closed it, firmly, forever. Sometimes the hardest thing in life is recognizing your own worth, especially when those closest to you are the very ones tearing it down. Evelyn's journey shows us that loyalty, love, and sacrifice should never come at the cost of self-respect. No woman, no person deserves to be treated as invisible, as a tool for others' convenience. The most powerful moment in her story wasn't when she walked away. It was when she realized she had the right to. You are not too old to reclaim your freedom. You are not too broken to start again. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. Whether you've spent years serving others, surviving in silence, or putting everyone's needs before your own, you still have the power to change your story. Because the moment you choose yourself, truly, fiercely, unapologetically, that's when your real life begins. If you're in a situation where you feel trapped, emotionally, mentally, or physically, take a deep breath and ask, what do I want? Not what others expect, not what tradition dictates. You. Start small. Open a savings account in your name. Reconnect with a supportive friend. Learn a skill. Share a story. Write down your dreams. Maybe you won't leave tomorrow or next week, but every tiny act of reclaiming your voice matters. And if you're older, even better. You've lived, you've learned, and now you're ready to live for you. Whether it's starting a YouTube channel, moving to a quiet town, or simply saying no without guilt, do it. Your life is not over. It's only just beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and share with your friends. Your support keeps these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if today's story touched your heart, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, stay well, and see you in the next story.